Okay. Welcome back, everyone, to track 2. This is the first talk we have in track 2. We have a presentation on One Daemon to Rule Them All by Bilal. Over to you.
Hi everyone. I hope you can hear me. Uh, uh,
We are listening you. You can start.
yeah, can you mute because I hear a lot of noise. Yeah, perfect. So hi everyone. Today I'm going to present the work I and various other people have been doing in the last couple of years to make the caring situation in Linux a little bit better. So first of all, what is a keyring? It's a user service that provides secure storage for your password, tokens, or SSH keys as well. It's decrypted when you log in usually, if you have the PAM module enabled, or when your application interacts with it, it asks you to type the password to unlock it. It's based on a free desktop specification from 2002 or something like that. And there are various implementations. One of them is GNOME Caring, that is the default in GNOME, and KeyWallet, the default in KDE. But also some password managers have their own implementation so that all your secrets are stored in the same place. So what's the problem we are trying to solve? Is first of all, despite being the same specification, every implementation stores the secrets at the end in a different file format. So if you are using both KDE and GNOME, for example, if you log into one or another, you lose your passwords between them because you need two different services to handle the two different passwords or secrets stored. And importantly, both GNOME Caring and KeyWallet are no longer actively maintained. They mostly get some bug fixes from now and then, and that's pretty much it. And also the specification that was released a couple of years ago hasn't received any updates. For example, one annoyance is that if you want to use, for example, GNOME Caring inside KDE, for example, you will need to bring a lot of GNOME dependencies because the way it works is based on prompting. So you will get a dialog to ask you for a password. And this whole prompting mechanism is each distribution has its own implementation. There is nothing specific about it in the specification. And it makes the implementation a lot more complex than it should be. So how it all started and how we ended up in this situation. A couple of years ago, I started migrating one of my applications from Python to Rust, and I needed to store some secrets in the caring. And for that, I used the libsecret Rust bindings. And the problem is that libsecret at the time had an issue where it would black forever when you try to store passwords if your application is sandboxed. So I decided, instead of trying to resolve the libsecret bug, which was fixed by Maximiliano a couple of years later, is to write first of all, the dbus client implementation. And that was the start of 007, which was mostly a client library at the time. Afterwards, Sophie and Maximiliano spent a bit of time to rewrite libsecret's file backend, which is what libsecret uses under hood when your application is sandboxed. So basically, if your application is sandboxed, your secrets are not stored in the host caring, we can say, but instead each application has its own sandboxed caring, so it cannot access other application carings. By that time, when we had both the dbus client implementation and also the file backend implementation, we had basically everything to start implementing the server side. So what's included in 007 today? We have the original project, which is the Rust client library. It supports both, as I mentioned, the dbus backend with its own proper API, but also a file backend with its own API and an unified API on top of it that picks the right thing for your application based on whether the application is sandboxed or not. Nowadays, we also have 007 daemon, which is the server side of the library. We have the portal implementation. We have the PAM model that's used by the daemon so that when you log in, if you want that, you can have the keyring automatically unlocked. We have a CLI application that replaces Secret 2, which comes with Live Secret, but a lot more useful than what Secret 2 provides. We also started recently to add services integration. For example, there is a Git credential Live Secret that comes with Git itself. So we decided to write an alternative to it so that you can eventually get rid of Live Secret later. At the same time, we have something for cargo credentials, so it's using Rust instead of going through FE5 for Live Secret. We also have two separate crates or projects that are a parser for key wireless files. We had to implement these for automatic migration in the server side. We will talk a little bit more about it later. They are read-only. They basically allow you to look into your key wireless files and figure out what secrets are there. We also have native Python bindings using PyO3. Unfortunately, today we don't have proper GObjects bindings, but the Python bindings provides a much nicer API than what we could come up with using GObject. But we will be working on GObjects bindings for C and Vala and other languages. So what's for the daemon side, as I mentioned before, we had already everything on the client side. So SCF sponsored, thanks to Tobias and other folks, sponsored some work that Downcow started working on for the server-side implementation. The work stalled because we didn't get another round of SCF funding, so I took it over and pushed it to completion. It uses the same file format as LibSecret. So basically, LibSecret is using V1 of the format, and GNOME keyring is using V0. But what we are doing is we are using V1 for everything. The biggest difference between V0 and V1 is that in V1, items are encrypted individually instead of the whole keyring file encrypted at the same time. This allows some nice features, you can say, as you can basically have an unlocked collection when you log in, but keep some items locked forever until you explicitly interact with them, for example. It also supports both Rust and OpenSSL crypto backends. The OpenSSL crypto backend is mostly for enterprises that wish some specific certification that the Rust crypto backend doesn't have yet. And we also support both GNOME shell prompter mechanism, which is what I mentioned before, that if you want to create a new keyring or when you log in and you don't have the automatic login mechanism with PAM model, you will get asked for a password to unlock the keyring. GNOME shell has its own prompter mechanism and key wallet as well. So we have support for both GNOME shell and key wallet, but we also have a nice feature that the Secret 2 from Live Secret doesn't have, which is a prompter for headless environment. So if you want to use the keyring in your server to store some API tokens, you will be asked directly in the terminal to type the password instead of not working at all. But also we have a very nice feature to ease the migration between the current implementation that exists, which are GNOME keyring and key wallet. We automatically migrate on startup every V0 keyring files, which are the GNOME keyring ones, and key wallet ones. In the early versions, we were automatically deleting successfully migrating keyrings, but today we are no longer doing that to avoid deleting sensitive information that in some scenarios we may end up in a corrupted files or the daemon crashing and the user may lose very sensitive information. So we basically just stamp the files by creating a new empty file in the directory saying this file was migrated, so we don't attempt to migrate it again. We also, as I mentioned before, we have the PAM module integration, which does two things. So the first one is to automatically unlock the keyring for you, but it also allows you to automatically re-encrypt the keyring if you change the user password, which is very handy. And it uses a separate binary that basically when the system starts and you log in, you type your password, instead of having the PAM module start the keyring itself, which what GNOME keyring does, we start a separate binary that will hold the password around until the daemon starts by systemd, and then it communicates with it and receives the password through a memfd. So what's the situation today? Today, the daemon implementation is already the default in GNOME OS nightly. I'm very thankful for that because thanks to this, we found a lot of issues that we have fixed already. And I'm actually using it today on my machine, so it works, at least on my machine. It's also the default credential store in Cosmic I have. And there is a proposal to become the default in Fedora. It's already in the voting stage, so hopefully it will make it for the next release if all goes as expected. And just yesterday, I did an alpha release with all the bugs we found during the GNOME OS integration, so that the distributions can easily test the latest and greatest stuff. So what is next? Now that we covered a lot of things, but there is still more work to do. One thing is that today GNOME has an SSH agent that sits in GSR, which is GNOME certificate something. And I actually want to replace that for one reason explicitly. It's that the SSH agent also has some prompting mechanism, which is quite complex for what it should be. So I want to do something a lot simpler, so I can simplify the prompting mechanism in both GNOME and Key Wallet and in my code base as well. But nothing is planned for today, as people have different expectations. Some people want only the paraphrase of the key to be stored in the keyring. Some might expect the SSH key to be stored in the keyring itself, which is, for example, what macOS does. But yeah, there is not much work done yet, but it might happen. We also have more and more people not using a password to lock or unlock their machine, but using some keys like YubiKey. And in that case, we don't have a secret that we will generate a key from, but we have the key directly. So we will need changes to the client library to support that, but also on the server side. And it's something that might require a lot more work, as you would need to support, for example, fingerprints login as well. And yeah. There is also GObjects bindings, because today basically we only support Rust and Python through our native Python bindings, but a lot of applications are written in C or C++ or other languages. So we want to be able to support those, but most importantly, I want people to basically change the dependency in their build file, and that's it. So I want the C API to provide a drop-in replacement. I want it to be exactly the same as libsecret, so that big code bases like Chrome or Firefox can easily do the switch, but also provide a more modern C API or nicer to work with for people who want to do a full migration instead of just replacing the package name in the build file. And as I mentioned, one thing that we really want to solve is the unified prompting mechanism. As currently, we have a separate mechanism in GNOME, a separate one in KDE, and a different one for headless. And there might be others as there are infinite desktop implementation out there. So I really want something very simple that's inspired by the secret portal that would allow us to basically send some message saying what we want to retrieve and receive the secret back in a file descriptor or a socket instead of everyone doing something different. And that's it. Any questions?
Can they? Okay, it works. Yeah. Thank you so much. We have a question.
Yeah, more than a question. Oh, very strong. No, I mean, all these in future plans are nice, but I think we should try to avoid to move it too up in the stack, because this while these 007s want to be like kind of level, I think one problem we have in many at many levels is basically the fact that we don't have a way to generate a single secret which actually unlocks everything, and all the authentication systems should actually be controlled maybe by systemd, and there's some efforts for this. And I think we should try to move as much as we can down at that level without having, for example, a unified mechanism which is only handled by the secret service, and instead try to work at the lowest level we can, so we can provide an API which allows eventually to have like a unified method at the lowest level we can, that can be used both by GDM or this thing. And what we want really is just something that provides us a secret which does everything and unlocks all the world for us, and it's gonna support eventually fingerprint or other devices. We're missing lots of things, like for example a secure enclave, but yeah, that will come later, even later. But I think we should try to, I mean, to get there by working lower level.
Okay, are there any other comments or questions? Okay, I'm just going to check if there's anything online. No, okay. Thank you so much, Bilal. Yeah. Oh, we can't hear you, Bilal. Are you speaking?
I just was answering the I was answering the comments saying that we definitely don't want to be responsible of implementing everything ourselves. And if systemd grows a mechanism that can simplify things for us, we will definitely adopt it.
Yeah, I mean, good, because I mean, all this crosses all with the work with the unified authentication mechanism, with the support for more hardware, because even, for example, you want to simplify the UI, but then you still have multiple options for authentication, and then, of course, for password is fine, but then you want to unlock with the YubiKey, or you want to unlock with something else. So as much as we can unify these things and use them in both desktop and display managers, and eventually this is the best. So let's try to coordinate there. There's the work which Adrian started with this JSON protocol. I think it's the right thing to do and can ideally be unified for this stuff.
Okay, thank you so much, Bilal, and thank you, everyone. We have a coffee break now for 25 minutes. So I'll see you back at 3:50. Welcome back, everyone, from the coffee break. Now we have the last talk in track 2 for the last day, which is building the infrastructure, building the fundraising engine by Shri.
I'm Sri Ramakrishna. I'm here to give my talk. It looks like it's the last talk of the track of the last day. So I hope you had a great GUADEC. And I'm sorry I was not there to spend it with you all, but my circumstances prevented me from traveling, and so I must give this talk in virtually. So with that in place, I'm going to start my talk here. So my talk is building the fundraising engine. My name is Sri Ramakrishna. For those who don't know me, I'm a long-time GNOME contributor who's deeply interested in fundraising and engagement. So that's me. I thought this talk was pretty important to give because it is, I've done a few or helped in a few fundraising campaigns, and I could see that the community has been quite sensitive about the idea of fundraising and the need for it. I put this talk together to maybe start this conversation, see what this kind of engine might look like, and how can we prepare to really build something that can scale to something that's sustainable. So we'll first start with the big picture. You know, most of us know that we get funds from community, business, and recently government. So with the STF funds, so all those goes into the GNOME Foundation. The GNOME Foundation helps out with hackfests and conferences and swag and food. We have this recent fellowship that we're currently doing. We have staff, we have contractors, and we have legal. So these are all the kind of things that we're doing, and we would love to do more, right? And so it really comes out of this quote: "Fundraising is the right ask to the right person at the right time," right? And I looked at the talk is sort of based on the Perkins talk. Who did a thing called Storytelling, Networking, and Strategy, in 2025. And I really found her talk compelling. So I've taken some aspects of it and saying, okay, how can we apply this to GNOME? So the three things or aspects of fundraising and storytelling. People tell you we need to tell stories. Networking, getting those stories out there, and then strategizing how, when, right? Going back to that committee is about timing, how to get there, and help donors make a decision to be a donor, right? Potential donors. And as part of the storytelling, when we build story, we need to understand why do donors give money? And donors give money because they want to make it of some sort. The message connects them with them at something that's personal and emotional level. And then finally, companies give because it gives it aligns with their business, right? So this is why primarily donors, whether individuals or corporations or whatever, they give us money because there's something that connects them, that there's an impact, either there's an emotional, personal, or business, or business of money. So this is a study in 2023 with affluent donors reporting like what motivates them, right? So it's good to have some kind of metrics to kind of understand. And here you'll see there's mission, happiness, and being asked. And you'll know that in the mission, you can see that if 60%, this is and if they believe in your mission, they will give us money, or they will give the nonprofit money. And I thought that was a really interesting and compelling metric. There is also the idea of happiness. Yeah. Are the people happy with the things you're doing? And in this case, there's a squishy 55% or so, and then there's this 30% who will give, and then there's a right. But in general, happiness is a pretty big factor. But you see some other things in here that's also kind of interesting. Is spontaneously response or social justice, kind of interesting things that most don't get because because it's a tax write-off. So and then they being asked, right, is the big thing, and so there's a big chance that somebody it may not be, it may just be a maybe. Not maybe just saying no, but it's like, well, maybe it's not now. Right? And then it's the idea of when is it convenient? We have to keep asking. So we're starting with storytelling. So what is the mission? Right? We looked in there. What is the mission? And our mission, the GNOME Foundation website says, we believe in a world where everyone is empowered by technology they can trust. We do this by building a diverse and sustainable free software personal computing ecosystem. So that's where the mission is. That's where we have people who align with us. And that's what our storytelling should be based on. Then there's networking. Networking always starts with people your peer groups, so forth. Then people who believe in your core mission. And then communities and networks that value your mission. And then finally, there's the general public. So those are, in general, the kind of audience you have to work with. But the further you go away from your core group, the weaker your connection to it. Right? Clearly, we're not going to have a really super strong connection to the general populace. They're trying to explain free software principles. There's a huge lift there. Strategy is understanding when is the right time. When did that maybe become a yes, right? And that is and the thing, and the donors are too messaging, and that's usually around kind of during our core, right? Milestones and a bunch of the peak time holiday season. Maybe you're at an event where there's a keynote where you're participating or something that alerts them to your presence. Or a talk, when certain topics are trending on social media, right? This is not only lots of us. There could be a completely different of us, but these are the things that came to me, and you might have different opinions yourself on what these examples could be based on your experience. So how do I apply, or how do we apply the storytelling to networking and strategy, right? So before we get into that, I do want to do a disclaimer. This part of the presentation this is not any based on any discussion with the board or any actionable plans. This is not something to review or anything like that. This is my opinion and my ideas based on my experience and observations. So this is, and it really is a community effort. And so I want to be clear that, there's nothing official going on. So with that disclaimer out of the way, let's start talking about storytelling. Let's talk about our strategy. And the first one is telling our stories, right? We can tell our stories through three methods. One, there's the human stories, there is the impact stories, and then there's the value stories, right? So let me go through them and kind of define what these mean, right? The human stories are humanistic stories that show GNOME's impact on people or on a community. Now, this is an example. It's fake. There is no such such partnership. But here in GNOME partners with FreeGeek to provide free recycled computers with GNOME pre-installed to children who experience marginalization. Now, FreeGeek is a recycle tech center. People take their junk, their tech junk, they take it to FreeGeek, and they kind of repair it and kind of get it back into a thing, and with a little shape, and then they sell it or they do something else with it, that kind of thing, right? So they're really in kind of that right to repair type of community. Now there's a few observations with that very fake story. One, and there was another thing, it does support our mission of building a personal computing ecosystem. It connects with the children's community, so those folks know that GNOME is helping their community. It connects with low carbon and right to repair community. So if you're into, having a low carbon footprint, it disaligns with your values. If you're into right to repair, this aligns with your values. And they see GNOME as a fellow traveler. And of course, having these partnerships demonstrates how powerful they are when trying to build connections. And it gives us the opportunity to make those human connections. Impact stories. Impact stories is where we had a challenge that we overcame and made a positive change, right? One that comes to mind, we had at least two of these legal ones, and I picked this one simply because it's more recent. Although I was more very involved in the first one, which was the trademark battle with Groupon. But this one shows an impact with numbers that kind of like, somebody attacked us and we turned around and we invalid their patents, it was a big way to go free software. Some observation against we centered our mission. We made working on free software more safe because there's less chance of a patent troll. That led to a big impact on the software industry. We created a legal precedent in the sense that if somebody decides they want to take on GNOME, there's like at least two different legal case studies or that says, hey, don't attack this fund. They've beaten everyone, right? So there's a documentation. We demonstrate the person who is not helpless. We have clause, and people should take part. And that is a big impact. Then there's the value story. There's the stories that demonstrate our values to perceive by improving ourselves, right? When we improve GNOME, we're improving the versatility, the utility of free software. And in this case, here by improving ourselves with the arts, we're using our funds to help have Sophie here to establish an art part is a value story. And it's once again where it centralizes our mission. Donors know that their money is having an impact on the future of GNOME and the future of free software. They believe that already now. we support our volunteer community through opportunity, giving opportunities to the people who give away their engineering time for free. We have giving them a way to upscale themselves while in some way, shape. So that's storytelling. Now let's talk about networking. And the first part of networking is defining and reaching our audience. We define our audience in networks and learn where they're looking. So again, as you said before, the core is your peer networks. And then there's free software, Linux users, and so again, this is not anything official. This is simple like sorting. You know, we as a community may have to decide what is the right strategy, who is our allies, and so forth. But these are who I believe is important that I've heard and read who value us. Then there's the idea of how to reach your audience. Well, I know who your audience is. How do you reach them? So we already talked about those. I sort of got ahead of myself in the slides, but we talked about peer networks. We meet them where they are. That means we're going to meet them reach out to them on social media, in-person events, and conferences. The in-person events are pretty powerful because they're local and it's not like people coming up far and meeting and going away again. I went to one yesterday and I met a CEO and a CTO and a bunch of other people and what I said kind of resonated with them in many ways, especially when it came to safety and data integrity and security. Those are things that an open source project where you know what's in it is something that intrigued them. So it's a great way to find new allies, especially near your area where you can continually keep doing your outreach. Then there's TikTok and Instagram for general outreach. The free software Barstool mission is to grow too, right? If you want, we are a political movement. We want to spread free software. And so sometimes we have to go to places where people congregate, and hopefully some kind of messaging reaches them because it's important. Strategy. So build this strategy defined. So we have all these elements. We figured out how do you put them together? And I think the ambassador program and as I demonstrated the partnership charities, the ambassador program are in our center here because they the kind of folks on the ground, right? If you went to the just talk, he talks about how he helped build a community for 300 people, and that's amazing because that's 300 people who are doing things locally in their local community, and there's storytelling there. There's storytelling between the stories of the people who are in that community, or stories that they are doing that affects the community around them. And because they're in person, it really strikes them. It really, the humanistic part, right? Like the seeing and believing, right? Is the thing. And that's also why partnership with charities is important, because that's combining the two together, you can create an impact in every neighborhood, country, or society you're in around the world. And again, you're supporting the mission in this fashion by doing it in the most purest form of communication here in the Then when it comes to strategy for impact stories, we have like things we're doing with the SDF funds, how we took a bunch of money and did something with it. Same thing working with companies, nonprofits. There are all these impacts. Right? How are we improving the ecosystem on those? Right? Even the story of Flatback is an impact story where we're creating ways that that um, giving freedom to software developers to create something and then have it work everywhere and ubiquitously. So yeah, those are great things. Value stories. We're doing that right now. The fellowship on improvement to solve our problem. Their release is filled with things. Members doing amazing things, contributing in many ways. So all those things are really really cool, and people really do enjoy them and give them reason to say, hey, GNOME is solving my problem, and so on. And so then moving on to strategy for networking, after all that, identify for networking, we want to identify more, I gave a list of audiences, an exhaustive list, what those audiences are, where they live, virtually or in person, then map content you have to the networks that you know, right? You know where those folks are. This is where we're present. Let's try, throwing in some things for right to work, or right to repair, and so forth. And then figure out what land, right? So and then of course if there are places where we should be, then we need to plan how can we have a presence there, so that we can be part of those networks. And in addition, then you want to find allies, domain experts, YouTube influencers, or whatever. I did some of this when we within Lost, or Lost as a way to expand our influences is to do that, right? Is find ways to meet them where they are. Find events and conferences and small meetups. I told you how important the small meetups are. They're extremely powerful. Then there's the leverage and Fedora, the existing community networks like Fedora, Ubuntu, and others. They're very mature in community networks, and they have a lot of I want to say there's a lot of investment in them. They're a core part of those platforms, and they are promoters in many ways, right? So we might be able to work with them, Elisha, and so forth. And so we have this strategy for our content, for our network, and everything is super cool. We're done. Yeah, that's it. What do you think? Well, it's like you need sustainability, but just do it with campaign, do the outreach, tell the story, and then move on to the next one. Once you bring new donors in, you have to keep them. And that means engaging with them and keeping them continue to give us money, because if they're not catered to in some fashion, we will drop off. And so and it's important because that they're our core group, right? They're not just supporters; they're supporters willing to donate month after month to memberships, right? And so we need to manage and communicate with them in some way or form so they feel valued in some fashion. And so there's a few ways you can do that, right? One is make sure that when we have things we're doing on funded GNOME projects, that we give it to them, especially and tell them to share on their network, just like ours. They have their own networks, and where their or is their peer network. So if a donor is enthusiastic about things we do, let them tell other folks, hey, this is great, this is what they're doing, you should fund it too, right? You know, and remember, a lot of donors are also volunteers. I am both a donor and a volunteer, right? I give in both ways, and so it's important that you give them links that they can use. Periodical out and increase your contribution. That's an important part. Make sure they have their contributions. Personal communication from the board. Well, you know, maybe if we had where you know like you're silver, gold, or platinum, or something like that, and if you're giving $100 a month, well, you know, you get a personal thank you from all of us in the GNOME board, and you know, something like that, right? Something that marks there was one person who gave $5,000 was donor, and so I think I was on the board at that time, and we sent him a card or something, you know, things like that, right? Storytelling to the network per month. That's another thing. So there is also then next the other donors are important, right? They're your large donor donor. You want to encourage them to make sure so want to be on the board, to stay on the board. Yeah, so you encourage them to go. Hey, what are some of the similar things you do with your other donors, right? So well, at this bullet point, we definitely want to have a listen and see what they're because especially if they're themselves are using GNOME internally at their company, they have some stake value in their that's free feedback that we can use that's validated. That's kind of thing. So you know, especially with the making sure within the limits and authority of the GNOME Foundation, right? And then you know, make sure that we're sharing the same things we're sharing with others, give them shareable links, send them that we send to the G or friends of GNOME people, send them out, let them do things, that kind of stuff. Copy the storytelling, all the storytelling we've done for the year, whatever. You know, like yeah, this is the great things we did. This is where money came in, help our project. And that would be something they can come back, especially those giving value, like affecting ecosystems, you know, and they get dragged into well, hey, we help with that, you know, that kind of thing. Another one is managing partnerships, you know, managing partnerships. If they have partnerships, they help them. We want to make sure we keep them active. Check-ins from alignment opportunities, aligned storytelling. That's one of them. You know, then maybe there's things like right to work that might align with some folks, and they can talk about that. Request to push our content to their network, maybe our newsletter, things like that. You know, those are great things. And then see if there's other partners. How can we grow? How can we make more partners? Yeah. Oh, whew. It's that's kind of overwhelming, isn't it? The engagement team is only like 5 to 6 people, and active people who are doing amazing work. To optimize this fundraising engine, though, we need to optimize in a way it should be. We need to grow. We need to be efficient. And, 5 to 6 people is not enough, to do what I'm talking about. But there's definitely an onboarding need. We need to grow our team. We've always been undernourished across all the teams, and this is really something that we need to really kind of focus on. Is how can we make this onboarding better? I know personally I've seen people going down when how do we keep them here? How do we make it a sustainable, fun place to work? Because it is a volunteer work. It shouldn't feel like work. It should be fun. So that's something we need to think about. And so my closing thoughts is, A, fundraising is a non-stop cycle. You're going to get you. And this engine is going to help us with that. We can do this with the help of the ground community, free software community, and all that. We really need to grow. And so the call for action here is that we need to grow a robust group of people who can help with fundraising and onboarding. There are people who could help with the ambassador. So, if you're interested in helping and these challenges excite you, contact. Let's talk. My credit is the right time is adapt for this talk is one adapted from Randy Cookers, who's the chief funding officer for openness, and a great human being. And of course, all my slides are very color, so thank you very much for that. And yeah, for my left, I just wanna here's my contact. Let you know. So see you there. I'm gonna go and do some questions. Cheers. Hello, GUADEC. I'm Ron Krishna. I'm here to give my talk. It looks like it's the last talk of the track of the last day. So I hope you had a great GUADEC. And I'm sorry I was not there to spend it with you all, but
Hello.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Kind of.
Thank you so much for the talk. We all enjoyed it. I think we have 5 minutes for questions in case anyone has any. I will also check the chat if there's anything. Are there any questions? No. Okay. Is there anything? Okay, I don't see anything online either, so I don't think we have any questions. But thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thanks for your time, everyone.
Thank you.